All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. We've been going over databases. We went over a MySQL database. Well, let's put it this way. I started with talking about databases in general. I went over a couple articles on databases, and now I've started to go through some talk on PHPMyAdmin, which is a semi-GUIized tool for working with MySQL databases. I found this article, as you can see, at http://deviline.com/articles/import -excel -data -into -mysql -using -phpMyAdmin. So I'm going to try to go through this right now. And what I have, just so you know, I'm going to go through all the 11 steps that are in here. But this was my original database. And really it's in spreadsheet format. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And what I had my class do was to come in and create an associated schema. So the ID, which was the primary key, auto-incremented, the social security number, which was a character of size 11, the first name, which was a varchar of size 20, the middle initial, which was a fixed length character as opposed to the variable. So ID was 11 integers, social security number fixed 11 characters, first name variable length 20 characters, middle initial fixed length 1 character, last name, address, city, state, zip, variable length of 20, 40, and 25 respectively. State was a fixed character of size 2. Zip was a variable length of size 10, so you could either put in a 5-character zip code, or you could put in the 5 numbers, followed by a hyphen, followed by 4 more numbers. That's where I got the 10 from. The department name was a variable length from 1 to 25 characters, and the department number was up to 11 characters. All right, and in addition, you'll notice the ID was an auto-increment field. The middle initial does allow nulls. Other than that, that's hopefully by now at least pretty much makes sense. All right, but what I want to do is I want to start writing this into a better format. What do I mean by that? Well, there's a lot of repetition here. The state is in here every time. Cities are repeated. Zip codes are repeated. Department names are repeated. In fact, I made a couple changes in here just so you know. Let's see. I changed all the infotech to information technology just because I thought it looked a little bit nicer. So there. Other than that, I pretty much left. Oh yeah, this was originally just 1, 2, 3 up to 10, but I changed it to 1001, 1002, etc. So you can see that hopefully. But again, there's repetition here, there's repetition here, and there's repetition here. Now you need a certain amount of repetition or redundancy in a database, but ideally you can control that. So what I did was I took the city, and I took the state, and I took the department name and pulled those out of this table. Now in order to do that, I had to create one or more new tables. I don't want to lose the data. I just want to put the data into other tables. So why would I even want to do that? Well, what I did was I ended up with this. So now, ideally at least, everything that's in here is dependent upon the ID because that's our primary key. So if I know your ID, I know your social security number, your first name, your middle initial, if you have one, your last name, your address, your city, your address, your zip code, and your department number. Okay? And then we made another table that looks like this, that has just the department number and just the department name in it. Now by doing this, I only have the department name in here once, and yet for every employee, I have department number. Also, I pulled out the city, state, and zip code. All right. And now I've got the city and the state only in there once. Now this might still look like some repetition. And is it possible I could cut it down even more? It may or may not be, but I don't see any reason for doing that. All right, so I've changed and converted this, which really was in first normal form because technically, we did have a primary key. All right, but there was redundancy. So we broke it down into 3 different tables. Now, for example, originally, you may or may not realize this, but to my knowledge at least, if I know your zip code, I can tell you what your city is, and I can tell you what your state is. Now, some cities have more than one zip code. That's not really what's important here. But if I say 63385, you should be able to tell me it's Wentzville, Missouri, as an example. If I say 63113, you should be able to tell me it's St. Louis, Missouri, for example. All right? So I pulled out some of that redundancy by putting it into its own table. So now if you notice, I've got the state. You can say, oh, it's in there multiple times, but the city is only in there once. The zip code in here is only in there once. Now we do need a certain amount of repetition. And we have the zip code in both in this table and in this table because we have to be able to relate those 2 tables together. In the same way, we have the department name in this table and the department number, and we have the department number in this table. So there is a certain amount of redundancy, but ideally at least now it's controlled redundancy. And we don't have it have a functional dependence like we had here, where zip code functionally determines city and state, but zip code's not the primary key. All right? So let's just put it this way. I'm doing what I can to somewhat normalize this database. All right? So with that said, let's go over and start taking a look at that article. It says, so now you have a bunch of data in Excel that you want to create a database from. But how do you import the Excel data into MySQL? With PHPMyAdmin, the process is painless and easy. This is handy for developers who want to convert data from one platform to another. This tutorial will explain the process step by step. Again, it's 11 steps. All right. So step 1, open your Excel file. Select the worksheet that you want to export. If you want to have multiple worksheets in one Excel workbook or file, you need to export multiple files. So I'll export all 3 that I have. You cannot export an Excel document with multiple worksheets in one swoop, to the author's knowledge. Step 2, once your worksheet is selected, so let's start by selecting this worksheet right here. All right, and I have not planned this out. I have not tried this first, so if I make mistakes, so be it. Once it's selected, go to File, do a Save As, and in the drop-down, select Comma Separated Variables option. You will see a prompt that tells you the Save As CSV cannot save workbooks that contain multiple sheets. Simply click OK and select the path for your same document. Repeat this process for each worksheet in your Excel document. So what I'm going to do is just that. So I'll come in here and I'm going to do a File, Save As, and we'll save it to the desktop. I'm going to put in a new folder, and I'm just going to call this CSV-files. All right, now I want to save this, I guess, as a comma delimited CSV file. All right, so this first one I'm going to call employees.csv. It says the selected file does not support multiple workbooks. To select only the active sheet, just like they said. All right, select OK. Some features might be lost. Do you want to keep using that format? Yes. Let's see what it looked like with what we just did. A lot of stuff open here. So here's CSV files, and there's my employee.csv. Well, that to me doesn't look any different. I don't think that's the one that opened. I don't think it's opened yet. So I'm going to have an employees CSV file. I'm going to have a city-state zip CSV file, and I'm going to have a department CSV file. For some reason, this does not appear to want to open, so let's just go back. It's already open. Maybe you want to reopen. No. Well, it says this is the .csv file. I'm not sure exactly what happened right there. Let's close this. All right. Try to open it again. Edit with Notepad. There it is. That's what I was looking for. Now, as you'll notice, the first column has got my headings. But after that, I've got my data. Okay? So that's the first one. Let's go back and do the other two. So we go back into our spreadsheet, which I should never have closed, but I did. And now we want to go, oh, I didn't save this. How did I not save that? All right. Let's grab the city, state, and zip. Copy it to the clipboard. Let's paste that in. Now we've got all that information. All right. So let's do another. In fact, let's save this as city, state, zip. So let's do a file. And again, we'll do a save as. We want to save it to our CSV files. We want to do another CSV, comma separated variable file. We want to call this one city, state, zip.csv. Again, we get that same message. We say OK. And yes. And let's come in and also create this one. Again, we'll copy. In fact, now that I think about it, I got a lot of duplication there that I've got to ferret out. All right. So we've got 4 cities: Wentzville, Lake St. Louis, O'Fallon, and St. Peter. We don't need any of these records. All right. That's all we need. So again, let's do a file, save as, CSV files. We'll call it city, state, zip, as we already did. Save. Yes, we want to replace it. Okay. All right, we're going to come into this one, which we're going to call departments. And again, we want to make sure that we don't have duplication here. All right. So 1, 2, 5, 4. There's a duplicate. 2 is already in there. Delete. We've already got 1. We've already got 5. We've already got 3. We've already got 4. So we can get rid of these. Delete. Now it's not in order, so let's fix that. All right. And the other thing I guess I'd like to do here is to move this one over to the beginning. There we go. All right. So, I don't know if I had any garbage in there or not, so boom. So this is what we want. Department 1 is Infotech, which we said was now going to be Information Technology. Department 2 is Web Design. Department 3 is Payroll. Department 4 is Shipping. Department 5 is Accounting. All right, we now have something set up where we don't have duplication. So let's do a file, save as. All right, we'll go to CSV files, and we're going to say here, departments. Get our messages, boom. All right. And the last thing that I want to do is I want to grab this now, and as we mentioned, so I'm going to grab all of this. We're going to cut some of it out in just a minute, but we're going to create a new book here, which we'll call Employees. All right. And we still need, let's see, I'm going to try to pretty this up, but I'll do that in just a second. We no longer need the address. We need the address. We no longer need the city and the state, so we should be able to get rid of both of those now. We need the zip, which we have to stretch out so we can see it. We no longer need the department name. All right, so we've cut it down so it now looks like this. And I want to make sure that you can see as much of this as possible. So all I'm doing right now is, for lack of better words, kind of wordsmithing. I'm doing a little bit of editing here so we can hopefully see all of it on screen at one time. So we now have our ID, our social security number, our name, our middle initial, first name, middle initial, last name, address, zip, and department number. All right. So I may already have an employees, but I want to make sure I'm resaving it. I'm trying to be consistent here. So I've got employees, I've got city, state, zip, departments, and now employees. All right, so for that employees, I'm going to again do a file, save as, CSV files. That'll be my new employees. Do I want to overwrite it? Yes, yes, yes. All right, now let's save this. So I'm sure I've got it saved. That's okay. Let's see. Let's just close that. All right, we'll work on this in just a minute. So let's see. It says don't have this. So let's go into our desktop and let's go to our CSV files and we'll save this. We'll just call it Acme because it's the Acme widget company that we had in here. Okay? All right. So now let's go and look in here. We've got Acme, and that's got, again, our original, hopefully, our employees, our city, state, zip, and our departments. That's good. All right. We also have city, state, zip here, which has got all of that. I'm not sure why it's got this in here, but I'm going to remove that because I don't need it. And I'm going to resave. So that's fixed. All right. I'm looking for departments, and it looks like that's in there. Not sure why I've got that at the end, but I do. Try to get rid of that and see if that matters. All right. And then finally, I've got my employees. Okay. All right. And I'm hoping that's everything. Again, I'm trying to follow the protocol and the steps that are laid out in this article. So I've done step 1. I opened my Excel file. I selected the worksheets I wanted to export. For each worksheet, I made a CSV file from it. All right? So once you have saved each of your worksheets, you're ready to utilize PHP's import facility. Most hosting services providers utilize PHPMyAdmin to manage MySQL databases. All right, which is what we want to do. Once you have accessed PHPMyAdmin, you need to create a new database. I'm going to do all this in the next lecture.